Yes.
Now, in that, he gave us multiple qualities of what an individual has to exhibit for him to be dear to the Lord. And he showed that all of these qualities are taking you beyond duality.
Hmm.
So, pleasure and pain, friend and foe, what you like as an experience and what is really painful, right? So, on all these things, he said, look, if you exhibit these qualities, you are dear to me. And then in the 18th verse, he says, but even beyond that, you are even more dear. And he gave you a path saying that if you are focused on the Paramatman, he didn't use the word Paramatman as you mentioned, but that's what he indicated, right? In
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
last verse.
Hmm.
Now, if you take that and you link it to where he takes you on 1865, where he says, become my minded, right? My minded, because my minded means that you're completely, your mind is, which is the last verse of the 12th chapter, that you are focused. I was just linking it because that's what he said, that you are even more dear to me. That's where he leaves it. And the beginning of that 65th verse of the 18th chapter says the same thing: become my minded, my lover and adorer, a sacrificer to me. That means every action, even if you are looking and exhibiting these qualities of friend and foe, now comes this is the link which is so beautiful, because he's saying that this also you are not doing. See, the moment you look at oneness, you have now taken that quantum leap to say that even this consciousness of a separate entity which I had, where I was wanting to be in this space where I could exhibit this and overcome duality, he says even that you are doing that also as a sacrifice to me. Bow thyself to me. So to me, it was like when he puts that last verse, he gives you a quantum jump to say that if you now go beyond duality to see that all these qualities, to go beyond duality, is actually me, which is the psychic entity within, which is constantly devoted to the Lord, saying, it's you, it's you, it's you, right? So when you are achieving that status, and you realize that this is a sacrifice to me, that you are not the doer of even this, to be beyond and all of this duality, this is everything is me again. So he's bought this quantum shift. And if you are able to do this, he then wraps it with the 66th saying, abandon all dharmas and take refuge in me alone.
Yeah.
Abandon all dharmas. Now, any thought, any activity, everything, there is only oneness. So he says, abandon all dharma and take refuge in me alone. I will deliver thee from all sin and evil. Do not grieve. Because the grieving is a journey of life. If we even think of duality, to overcome duality as an individual, if I feel that I have to do it, it is an enormous task of lifetimes to even think that we would be able to achieve this, right?
Yeah.
To me, there is this beautiful link, and that's what I wanted to ask you, because still that, and you specified that
So
in
in
the
the
last verse of the
so in
12th
the
chapter, he
yes,
doesn't use the word paramatman, but I thought
he
that there
says
is a
mat parama. Mat parama means basically regarding me as the supreme, considering me as the highest thing, and basically, which means that orienting your whole consciousness in this way that the divine is the supreme, and that is the thing around which you should organize your whole being. That is what the word mat parama means. Yeah, regarding me as
so
the supreme, basically. Yeah.
right. So the reason I said, because we did these 8 verses of devotion, the last, which is what Dhaval Bhai had suggested. So devotion, I felt that the ultimate, he gives you the path in that last verse, but to complete that journey that we began of the 8 verses on devotion, I feel that you have to include the 65th and 66th of the 18th to complete the devotion, because the path that he's shown you, it culminates in these 2 verses, at least to me. That, because I never had clarity and I never had a link of how you go beyond the individual consciousness, because still there, if you remember, we had a good discussion to see that as long as you are an individual and a devotee, that is when you're aspiring for the Lord, right? So there is an inherent distance of, or a relationship between a sadhaka or a lover of the Lord, and that is the journey on the 12th. But he ends the 12th chapter where you gave us this path, that he takes it to a oneness and a path of oneness. And I love that term. If you could repeat that, where he says, then you are ati priya. Dear to me
Ativa
is
me
in
priya.
six. Right.
Exceedingly dear.
So,
Mat
so the
Parama, here
exceedingly
the
dear.
please, yeah.
Yeah. So I was saying that if you could just to complete, at least for me, it was like, he opens a door and says that you're ati priya if you can put your focus only on me. But what is the next step? I think comes in these two. So I thought if you could just spend some time on these two verses to complete this devotion path, because he's opened the door on the last verse, but what needs to be done then actually is followed up in these two verses. So and anyways, you had mentioned they are the Mahavakya in the last call. So if you could just elaborate these two verses to give us complete clarity.
Okay. Thank you. First of all, Mat Parama, the translation here is plural mein hai Mat Paramaha. Those who make me the Purushottama, their one supreme aim. So Mat जो है वहां से me आ रहा है English का, and Parama means regarding me as the supreme, like that. Number one. Just to make it clear what is the exact meaning of that Sanskrit phrase in the Gita. Second, Yogesh bhai, you're right, and wherein Sri Aurobindo has translated or rendered this last verse of the 12th chapter, in that paragraph, he mentions this Sarva Dharman Parityajya. It is the last paragraph of the essay titled The Way and the Bhakta. So the link that you have inferred in your mind is absolutely correct. It is validated by Sri Aurobindo himself. Okay, I'll just recite those verses first. What you're saying makes sense. 65 goes like this, 18.65. Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosime. And the next one, sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchah. Okay. As regards the Mahavakya, so because there are 2-3 points which had been raised up in what you said. So, it's like when in one verse you want to say the Mahavakya of the Gita, then simply the 18.66 is quoted. Different people do it differently. Some people quote it in two verses, and therein these two are quoted. Okay. Sri Aurobindo, in the chapter The Core of the Teaching, he has taken one or two verses before this, and wo free rendering mein, he says that this is the Mahavakya of the Gita, like that. But yes, for all, the most commonly taken Mahavakya is 18.66, Sarva Dharman Parityajya, right? So, what would be a loose translation? I'm not opening the website here now. It's very simple. Man mana. So, man mein it's basically mat only. In Sandhi, it has become na. Okay. Man mana means my minded. Become mind minded. Man mana bhava. Bhava means to become. So, make your mind full of me. Become my minded. This is what Sri Aurobindo calls the transformation of the mind by the divine consciousness, ultimately, where in that state, your mind is totally occupied by the divine consciousness. And I mean, all your thoughts come from it. Whatever you think, you seem to think you are originating on your own, it goes towards it. So it's very divine state, obviously. Man mana bhava. Be my minded. Okay. Put your mind in me all the time. Just think of me. Man mana bhava. Mad bhakto. Become my bhakta. Be devoted to me. This is Shri Krishna's Adesh. Man mana bhava. Mad bhakto. Become my bhakta. Be devoted to me. Why does he say this? Because he clarifies earlier in the Gita, Devan deva yajo yanti mad bhakta yanti mamapi. The worshippers of the devas go to the devas, my worshippers come to me. Similarly, there is a verse in the 9th chapter where he says that those who worship other gods, they are worshipping me only, but in an indirect way, right? Again in the 17th chapter, he says that the tamoguni people worship these people, the rajoguni worship these people, the sattva guna worship these people. But that is the guna worship. And when you are worshipping Krishna, though of course, to begin with, it will be the sattva guna which will be dominant, but it goes to a kind of nirguna state wherein it's just, you can't help but loving him. It just goes beyond all mental formulas, right? So, mad bhakto, be devoted to me. इसी को गीता में कहते हैं अनन्य भक्ति. Do not be devoted to anything. Unswerving devotion, one pointed devotion. Another word for this in the Gita is bhakti avyabhicharini. Avyabhicharini bhakti. Vyabhichar means when a person in a marriage or whatever romantic relationship, they break the bound and fall in love with somebody else. That is what the word vyabhichara means. So the soul in you is being asked to be devoted to the divine beloved without being devoted to anything else. It is one pointed devotion. The whole object of your love is only the divine, nothing else. And obviously, one realizes that there is nothing but the divine. So automatically, you are in love with everything. But it has to be remembered, man mana bhava mad bhakto. Do not be devoted to any other inferior power, he's saying. Be devoted to me. Who is this me? It is the Supreme, the Purushottama, the Shri Bhagavan, right? Man mana bhava mad bhakto mad yaji. Sacrifice unto me. Do not sacrifice to any other lower energy. Your sacrifice should be to me. Adhiyajna is the word comes in the 8th chapter of the Gita. I am the Lord of all sacrifice. And therein he says, whatever karma you do, whatever yajna you do, ultimately it comes to me. It is going to come to him. But till the time we do not do it directly, till such time it is an indirect way. We are approaching him through some other godhead, some other even vital power, this, that, whatever. Nahin, directly to me, he's saying. Because it is the crowning moment of the Gita. That is why, this clear and distinct Adesh he's giving. Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Bow down to me. Do not, I'm saying this on my own as part of the explanation. Bow down to me, not to anything else. Bow down to that supreme entity, not to any lesser power. And this is why, even the Guru, when we worship the Guru, so Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma. We are supposed to regard the Guru as the manifestation of the Param Brahma, because ultimately the devotion of the soul, the absolute need in the soul is for the divine, and it cannot be satisfied by anything else except the divine. So essentially, one has to bow down only before the divine. And he's saying it directly, एकदम बिल्कुल खट ये करना है. Man mana bhava, be mind-minded. Mad bhakto, be devoted to me or be my bhakta. Madhyaji, sacrifice to me. Yaj is the root here. Madhyaji, mam namaskuru, bow down to me, surrender to me. Nama, na, the word nama, namaniya जैसे हिंदी में बोलते हैं, something flexible basically. That is the root meaning of the word. To be flexible. Namaskuru, mam namaskuru, bow down to me, surrender to me, be, like that. Flexible in your consciousness towards me, in the sense, be ready to be molded by me. Mam namaskuru. Mam eva eshyasi. Eshyasi means to attain. भविष्य रूप भविष्य काल में है एष्यसि. माम एव means alone. माम means to me. द्वितीय एक वचन. माम एव एष्यसि. To me alone you will attain. This is his promise. Okay. Mame Vaishyasi Satyam Te. I am telling you the truth. Mame Vaishyasi Satyam Te. Te means to you. Chaturthi Ekvachan. Satyam Te Pratijane. Pratijane is one of the most significant words here. It means promise. ये और ज्यादा डीप में नहीं जा रहा संस्कृत के, बट बेसिकली आत्मने पद जो होता है तो उसमें से वंदे होता है ना, वंदे मातरम, लाइक दैट. प्रतिजाने, सो दोस फॉर्म्स दे एंड विद द ए साइन, राइट? सो प्रतिजाने, फर्स्ट पर्सन ही सेइंग आई एम प्रॉमिसिंग टू यू. मामे वैश्यसि सत्यम ते Pratijane, I am promising this to you. I'm telling you the truth. Priyosi me. Priyosi means priyaha asi. You are dear. तत्वमसि जैसे बोलते हैं ना, प्रियोसी में, you are dear to me. May means to me. Once more before I go to the next one. मन्मना भव मद्भक्तो मद्याजी माम नमस्कुरु मामे वैश्यसि सत्यम ते प्रतिजाने प्रियोसि. And then basically he frees you from all the formulas, ideas, conceptions, etc., which he has given in the Gita. And you know that infinite sort of yoga, completely like that, without any limitations. Mhm.
So, Anmol,
So
in this verse, there
yes.
are two things that are so powerful that
Mm.
just listening to it, it goes deep within. First, it's the Lord. It is that eternal oneness making a promise to humankind. Bhagwan is giving a promise that if you do what I'm
Yes.
suggesting here,
Exactly.
this
Exactly.
is
It is
this
God
is the
Himself's
outcome.
promise.
So the fact that is so powerful that
Very powerful.
just to listen to, if somebody told me that Yogesh, if you listen to this, it's the Lord giving a promise to me. Just the words and just listening to it is, my God, it's like today's is the highlight of so many. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah,
Firstly,
yeah.
that,
It is
and
absolute.
the second thing, which is again very powerful in this verse, is he's saying that the last part, if you just see the word, all along in the 12th chapter, it is you're dear to me, right? The fact that if you listen to what he's saying here, what are the last, if you reflect on the last part that he's committing here, that you are, if you could repeat that,
Aha.
after he gives,
Mameva Eshyasi, to me alone you will come.
right,
Satyam te, I am telling you the truth. Pratijane, and I am promising this to you. ठीक है? प्रियोसी में, because मीने you are dear to me. उसमें कोई because नहीं है.
correct.
प्रतिजाने
So
प्रियोसी में.
so he's straight away saying priyosime. I
Yes.
mean, he's
You
saying
are priya to
you
me.
are.
He has already
Matlab,
become. Yes.
correct. So here it's not that if you do, he's giving you a even more powerful end. He's saying, "Tu
This is
mera
the
hai,
divine
you
directly
are
addressing the
mine."
soul. Correct.
Correct.
You are mine,
So,
exactly.
so of all the study we've done, to me, this state is where the psychic entity, which is only in devotion to the Lord, and it goes back the moment the body collapses, when you end your physical form, it again goes and merges. It's within, while it is in the human existence, the psychic entity is always connected. And when the body goes, it is goes back to the Lord, right? So
No,
this is
no,
the
no, no.
psychic,
No,
no?
no, no. So, little here, one you have to have a little nuance in your thinking. So it goes back to the Lord only if you have gotten liberated during the birth. Okay.
Right,
Otherwise,
right.
it goes to what is called the psychic plane and it rests there for a period and it assimilates the experiences of the previous life and it prepares for the future birth. So, that kind of going straight into the divine, it is called Sayujya Mukti. That will happen only if during your lifetime you have realized the divine. So for ordinary
Beautiful.
souls, whilst you are still a sadhak, of course, you will be in a very good state, and the Gita promises as much in the sixth chapter towards the end that if you have made a lot of effort, but for some reason you fail to reach the goal or you get slightly corrupted, then you come back into the family of the Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe, the pure and prosperous, or you are born in the families of yogis itself, all that, right? So, but
Right.
that is like the two or three things you have to
So,
keep in mind.
so the clause is that when the psychic being realizes that it is the psychic entity, when
Yes,
it understands in this lifetime and becomes
yes.
a realized
Then
soul
it
that, oh my God,
exactly.
I am no different from him. I
Then it
am a psychic entity. It's
exactly.
only in that situation that
Yes.
he becomes one with the Lord.
To be more precise, because psychic entity and psychic being, yes, they are here, but when this psychic entity or psychic being, when it realizes that it is actually the central being, to be very clear in the
Ah,
terminology,
right,
when it
right.
realizes that it is the central being, it is the unborn, undying, immortal, etc., etc., because then it is free ना कि अरे मैं तो अमर हूँ. I am the unborn. Why am I scared of birth and this and that? I am the unborn. अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. 2.20 of the Gita. So when that merger, remember we had read that letter
Right.
where the word
Right.
came merge. So when the psychic being merges with the central being, it knows itself as the unborn and eternal, then it is free from the cycle of rebirth. Free does not mean that, it cannot come down. If it wants to come down, it comes as a free being, either to enjoy the play or to help others or for even further progress, because ultimately there is no end to progress, right? When we say
Right.
Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, the word Anantam there, infinite. So the evolution, the self-revelation of the divine to himself is like an infinite unrolling. But of course, foresee that, first of all, we have to reach that realized state कि उसके बाद क्या होगा, right?
Correct.
That is what Sri Aurobindo refers to when he says, rather than from darkness to light, now the evolution will happen from light to greater light, like that.
Correct. But here it ends by saying, "It's not you are dear to me, you are mine." He
Yes.
ends the
Pratijane
60th.
priyosi mein, you are dear to me.
Correct. So
I'm
you
promising
have
you.
become, yeah,
Anmol
right. So
bhai,
Haan.
if may I add, because I always, when I remember this particular shloka, exact same shloka is 9.34 with a
नहीं
little
exact नहीं है. The first
little
half is the same, the second half is different.
the second quarter is different, that too.
नहीं, second
It
half
says
is
man
different.
mana bhava mad
मन
bhakto
मना भव, it's
Jima
the 9.30, ninth
4
chapter का last verse है. मन
मामे
मना भव
वैश्यति
मद भक्तो
युक्त्वैवम.
मद्याजी माम नमस्कुरु
हाँ
मामे वैश्यसि युक्त्वैवम् आत्मानं
हाँ.
मत्परायणः.
Yuktvavam Atmanam Mat Parayana is little different as compared to this, but they're so related, I would say, because both are talking about bowing down. Yeah, number
हाँ
one. Number
हाँ,
two,
third quarter में भी मतलब
Yukta.
two or
Yukta
three
means
words are same. Sorry.
Yukta means to join,
Yeah.
having united with me, right?
Maybe you can say it like this, that ninth chapter, being half of the book that way, though I don't remember how many verses are covered till the end of the ninth chapter. But Adhyaya wise, if you see, so
हाँ
ninth is like half of the 18 chapters. So there he is ending it with this kind of saying. And then again in the last chapter. So it's a very logical putting.
हाँ, नहीं, all I'm saying is, given the economy of the Gita, as
Yeah.
you had mentioned
Yes.
earlier,
Yes.
repeating this verse same to
Yes.
in this
Because it is
kind of
very significant. You are right.
हाँ
Very,
हाँ.
very significant. Thank you for
And
bringing this up.
that's why I said, whenever this is read or that is read, I remember the other, and they are so connected.
For the sake of completeness, I'll just read the translation of that one.
हाँ
Won't be fair if I don't. So, first of all, the verse, Dhavalbhai is referring to 9.34. Okay. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. It's exactly like the first part of 18.65. Second line is mam eva eshyasi. Till here it is the same. Then it says yuktvaivam atmanam matparayanah. So it says, thus united with me. Yuktva evam. Yuktva means thus united. Evam means thus. Yuktva means united. Thus united with me in the self. Atmanam, thou shalt come to me. Mam eshyasi, having me as thy supreme goal. तो इसमें वो प्रॉमिस वाला पार्ट जो है ना, दैट इनक्रेडिबल वर्ड देयर प्रतिजाने, वो उसमें नहीं है. दैट ही रिजर्व्स फॉर द महावाक्य.
for the diap
Just
last.
once more, I'll read
Yeah.
this slowly.
Okay.
Become my minded, my lover and adorer, a sacrificer to me, bow thyself to me, thus united with me in the self, thus united with me in the self, thou shalt come to me, having me as thy supreme goal.
And Anmol bhai, if I interpret this Atmanam Mat Parayana, means my Atma will come to me. The
No, 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 no,
para
no.
ayana means to move, no, to go towards that, right?
नहीं 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 नहीं.
ऐसे
आप
नहीं हो
थोड़ा सा
सकता.
मिक्स कर रहे हैं चीजों को.
Okay.
सो हियर द वर्ड्स इज मत परायण. ठीक है. यहाँ
हाँ
वर्ड है परायण, जैसे
हाँ
भगवत परायण, सत्य परायण, धर्म परायण, लाइक दैट.
हाँ.
सो मत परायण मीन्स हैविंग मी एज द सुप्रीम गोल.
अच्छा
मत
अच्छा.
मतलब मी,
हाँ
परायण मीन्स उसकी तरफ जाना. हाँ, आप उसको
हाँ
ब्रेक कर सकते हैं.
हाँ,
सो para
इसीलिए
मीन्स सुप्रीम, अयन मीन्स जर्नी.
journey, that is how
मैंने
I broke it.
परायण का आई हैड नॉट ब्रोकन डाउन, सो या यू आर राइट.
हाँ, because Uttarayan,
हाँ, यू आर राइट.
Dakshinayan,
यू आर राइट.
Mat Parayan.
Parayana means Para, once again, for those who matlab, are not so familiar, para means supreme. Ayana means journey. E dhatu se aata hai. From that comes Ramayana, the journey of Rama, or for that matter, Narayana, the journey of the
हाँ
soul within us. ठीक है?
हाँ
Uttarayana, Dakshinayana, etc. Same word. So mat means me. Parayana means journeying as the supreme, like that. So having me as thy supreme goal, mat parayana, like that. Hmm? So once more, before we go to 18.66, become my-minded, my lover and adorer, a sacrificer to me, bow thyself to me, thus united with me in the self. आपने जो आत्मानम बोला ना, यहाँ पे है in the self. युक्त्वा एवं आत्मानम. Here
हम्म
आत्मानम is द्वितीय एकवचन.
ओके
हाँ, हियर इट इज द्वितीय एकवचन. आप चेक कर लेना बाद में.
हम्म
10 हाँ, वो ऐसे ही चलता है उसका. आत्मा, आत्मानम, आत्मना, आत्मने, like this it goes. It's a very
ऑल द
simple
केसेस हाँ
vibhakti.
ऑल द केसेस या
All the cases, yeah. So
हाँ
thus united with me, yuktva evam, in the self, atmanam, in the self. ठीक है?
हम्म
Mam eva ish, thus united with me in the self, thou shalt come to me. Mam eva ishyasi. टू मी के लिए वर्ड है यहाँ पे माम. एव मीन्स ओनली टू मी, वेरिली, इंडीड, अलोन, एटसेट्रा. एष्यसि वही, कमिंग, रीचिंग मी.
so this exactly relates to
हाँ,
united with me in the psychic being and then you'll reach the central being. This is how I am looking at
या
this.
यू कैन
I
पुट इट.
also.
करेक्ट.
Anmol bhai, united with me, pause, in the self. So united with me is the psychic being realizing it is the psychic entity, but it then has
यस,
to
यूनाइटेड
evolve
विद मी
to
इन द सेल्फ वुड मीन,
in
हाँ,
the self
यूनाइटेड विद,
becomes
हाँ,
the Atman.
या
In
इट
the
हैज
self
रियलाइज्ड दैट इट इज
becomes
द
the
आत्मन,
central
इट इज
being.
द जीवात्मन. या
Correct. So, you know why this is so precious? Because it is only Shri Aurobindo who, see, if you read the Gita without the sessions that you had done with us in the last few months, united with me, you are thinking it's only Atman. In the self, it's Atman. But the moment he's explained what is the psychic being, identifying and realizing it is the psychic entity, there he gives you the breakdown of what is it that we have to do by understanding that the psychic being has to realize that it is the psychic entity and then evolve to the Atman or the central being, because in the self. So it's all these three becoming one poise, all these three poises becoming that oneness
या
is the path, which
या
is so beautifully explained because Sri Aurobindo has brought this, terminology.
दिस,
Otherwise, it was only Atman.
या इट्स नॉट देयर, इट्स नॉट देयर. And even if, matlab, maybe it's there, it's like they speak of Dva Suparna Sayuja Sakhaya. The two birds, one on the lower branch of the tree and one on the upper. But Sri Aurobindo breaks it down further. He makes it as three poises of that same entity. So that which we have read in the letters on yoga, central being and the soul spark and then the psychic being, this kind of detailed and nuanced and matlab,
हाँ
such unbelievable.
ये कहीं
Not
नहीं है.
there.
आई डोंट थिंक सो ये मिलेगा
No,
इवन
it's
इन
not.
कंटेम्पररी कमेंट्रीज. ये सो जो अदर
I feel it was Sri Aurobindo's matlab work or task, destined task as the supramental avatar who was going to give the final knowledge, the most complete knowledge, at least in the theory form. It was remaining for him to do that, and it is so matlab nuanced and so many intricacy of thought, so subtle. We read it for almost 3-4 months, and still we are talking about it.
या
So
नो बट अभी अभी देखो ना ये श्लोक में वी आर एबल टू रिलेट एंड सी द
yeah, yeah.
दैट सटल डिफरेंस व्हिच अदरवाइज दोनों वुड एट ऑन सरफेस वुड लुक ओके सेल्फ यूनाइटिंग. ये हुआ, ये खत्म हो गया बस.
And in the two birds, Anmol, if you see till now, if we did not have this differentiation that Sri Aurobindo has done for us, the lower bird is actually the psychic being because it's eating the fruit
Yeah,
and it's still
yeah,
evolving.
yeah.
But the higher bird is a combination of the psychic entity, which is always
If you want
one
to,
with the Lord, as
no,
well as the
there,
central being.
there actually, you would not be, मतलब combination नहीं कहना चाहिए, because when you say higher, so you mean the thing which is not in the manifestation, okay? And the psychic entity as well as the psychic being are there in the manifestation supporting it, okay? So I mean, in my understanding, and psychic being and psychic entity, it's basically The difference is that the psychic entity is like a seed form, and the psychic being develops from it. So it's more like a projection from the psychic entity. उसमें essentially कोई difference नहीं है. You could, in other words, put it that the psychic being is the developed form of the psychic entity. Correct. So both of them are there below in the manifestation supporting it. So they could be regarded as the this thing, the bird who is eating the fruit, whereas the Jivatman, the central being, would be the one who is not eating, it is just presiding and etc. And when it knows that I am this, then it merges with this, and that is its liberation. The
Correct. So there
shloka
you
is
are
also,
absolutely right. It's the bird above is presiding, so it's actually the central
yes,
being in the two birds
yes,
story,
yes.
right?
Dva
Right.
suparna sayuja sakhaya samanam vrikshe parishasvajate tayoranyah pippalam swadu atti anaschananyan abhichakashiti. This is the verse, very beautiful, worth memorizing. Comes in, I think, three Upanishads, three of the major Upanishads out of the 12. Right? I'll share it. I'll share it later on.
Yeah. If you could also share the translation of the Sanskrit verse.
Basically, I can do it right now. Dva Suparna, two. Suparna means beautiful of wing. Sayuja means joined. Dva Suparna, Sayuja, Sakhaya. Sakhaya means they are friends. So they are companions like that. Dva Suparna, Sayuja, Sakhaya. Samanam Vrikshe, Parishasvajate. Samanam Vrikshe means on the same tree. Parishasvajate. Dwelling on that or something like that. वो exact word मुझे देखना पड़ेगा. तयोरन्यः पिप्पलम स्वादुअत्ति. तयोः means of the both of them. ये होगा षष्ठी द्विवचन. तयोरन्यः पिप्पलम स्वादुअत्ति. So of the two, अन्यः means one. It pippalam means the fruit. Tayoranyah pippalam swadu. Swadu means taste. Atti. Atti means to enjoy. Tayoranyah pippalam swadu atti. Anaschananyan. Whereas the other one, Anaschananyan abhichakashiti. Abhichakashiti full word hai wo. Whereas that one simply sees and observes. It does not atti. It does not taste. Correct.
But Anmol, in the translation, if it's saying dwelling on the same tree, that indicates that it
The
is
tree means
in
the
the
body. It means the human manifestation.
correct, in
It
the
means the one
manifestation.
individual.
Right, right.
Yeah. The second second verse of the Mahavakya. Once, I mean, since the Mahavakya in that sense should be said fully. So I'll just repeat the first and then the second. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. Sarvadharman, all dharmas. Parityajya, having abandoned them. So abandoning all dharmas. भूल जाओ सब कुछ, ठीक है, बस come to me. सर्वधर्मान परित्यज्य माम एकम, केवल मेरी. अगेन माम एकम, किसी और की शरण में नहीं जाना है, भगवान की शरण में जाना है. सर्वधर्मान परित्यज्य, abandoning all dharmas. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Take refuge in me alone. Vraja would probably be the root for take. मुझे व्रजा का मीनिंग क्लियर नहीं है, बट वही होगा उसमें डेफिनेटली. आई शेयर द, बाद में वो ग्लॉसरी में देख सकते हैं. सर्वधर्मान परित्यज्य माम एकम, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. माम एकम शरणम व्रज. टेक रिफ्यूज इन मी अलोन. वी टेक रिफ्यूज इन सो मेनी थिंग्स. I mean, kuch bhi. Some people take refuge in money. If they think they have money, they think they have everything. Some people take refuge in power. Some people take refuge in smaller godheads. Some people take refuge in other human beings, etc., etc. It goes on and on and on and on. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Take refuge in me alone. Aham, I, tva, यू. ये त्वाम और त्वा दोनों रूप होते हैं उसमें. दिस इज द्वितीय एक वचन. असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय जो आता है, उसमें भी जो मा है, बेसिकली इट मीन्स फ्रॉम द सॉरी, असतो मा सद्गमय फ्रॉम द ट्रूथ, वो कुछ उस तरह से होता है. इट्स अ लिटिल ग्रामेटिकल न्यूएंस, बट बेसिकली त्वा मीन्स द सेम एज त्वाम मीन्स टू यू. You are the object of the action of the Ishvara. Aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. Hmm? I will deliver you. मोक्ष यिष्यामि, सेम रूट, मुच धातु, उससे मोक्ष शब्द बनता है. मोक्ष यिष्यामि फ्यूचर टेंस में. अहम त्वा, when will that happen? When you take complete refuge in him. That's why मोक्ष यिष्यामि, I will. ठीक है. अहम त्वा सर्व पापेभ्यो मोक्ष यिष्यामि, I will free you from all sin. Why is he saying that? Because he's doing a ghoram karma. I mean, he's killing so many people. Some of them are so venerable, and basically, it's a very violent action. Which being very, मतलब क्या बोलना चाहिए, sanguinary bloodshed, which Arjuna is being asked to do. So he needs to be given this assurance. And anybody who becomes an instrument for the divine, sorry, for such a, such a massive work which entails violence, he needs this assurance कि उसको ये ना लगे कि मैं इतना घोर पाप कर रहा हूँ और मेरा क्या होगा, राइट. एंड इट अप्लाइज फॉर एवरीबडी. आप उसको जनरलाइज कर सकते हैं. अहम त्वा सर्व पापेभ्यो. Doesn't matter what sin you have done. Forget about all that. All past life karmas, this life, just nothing doing. You take refuge in me and I will deliver you from all sin. Aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. Okay. And then ma shucha. Ma means do not. Shucha means grieve. शोक वर्ड उसी से आता है, शुच धातु है. ठीक है. न शोचति न कांक्षति आया था ना 12th चैप्टर में, सेम रूट. सर्वधर्मान परित्यज्य मामेकम शरणम व्रज अहम त्वा सर्व पापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. Abandoning all dharmas, take refuge in me alone. I will deliver you from all sin. I will free you from all sin. Do not grieve. Sri Aurobindo himself has quoted this letter several times to quoted this shloka, several times to his disciples in his letters. He calls it the great assurance of the Lord and all that. So, yeah.
Again, Anmol, in this, the last word that he says, which is translated as do not grieve, again, to me, it is so powerful. It shows so much of love for the divine to us, because he's saying that, look, I know you are the central, you are not here. He's talking to the psychic being, because the psychic being is the one who can grieve, right? So he ends by saying, do not grieve. That means that in this journey of so much of challenges, even at the stage of you understanding that you need to be always and only with me, you still do not grieve. That means he's actually addressing it to the psychic being, because the psychic being can only grieve. The psychic entity and the central being do not grieve.
Yeah, there is that thing called the psychic sorrow, correct. So, matlab, when things do not happen according to the will of the soul, so it kind of shrinks, and in that sense. But grieve, अगर आप बोलें, essentially that grieving thing is part of the vital nature, because psychic being का जो स्वभाव है वो आनंद होता है. So the nature of that psychic sorrow is not so much grief like that, because it is always in touch with the divine. So it is not grief stricken. Okay, it's more like
Right.
this is a fine point one needs to understand. It is the
So
vital
is
nature.
this grief? So Anmol bhai, is this grief then the separation of the beloved from the
Yes.
lover? Is
Yes.
that the grief? Yeah.
That of course, essentially it is that all grief comes because of that initial division, that initial separation, right? But यहाँ पे कि जो practically श्लोका में देखा जाए कि do not grieve कि I will incur this sin. चिंता मत करो. I will free you from all sin. You're not going to incur any sin by following what I am asking you to do. That's what he means.
Anmol, in this context, grief is due to the war, due to the killings.
Yeah, all these things.
Contextually,
The grief
contextually.
because he's personal grief because he's killing these people.
That is
The
what, that
grief
is
that
what.
all these great people will be lost to humanity. The
Correct,
grief
correct,
that they are my relatives. This
correct.
grief, that grief, all that is told in the first chapter. Arjun ka
Correct.
pura Arjuna Vishada
हाँ,
Yoga mein. And yeah. And I mean, one is like, he's addressing the whole of humanity, taking Arjuna as a representative. He's
correct.
saying this to us. Do not grieve. अभय आश्वासन है भगवान का, एकदम एकदम अभय आश्वासन. If you have that capacity to abandon yourself to the divine completely, then there's nothing to worry. You see, this is what is called the total and complete surrender, which is, Sri Aurobindo says, वही मैं यहाँ पे pick up कर रहा हूँ कि the Gita ends with surrender, and the integral yoga begins with surrender. He picks up from where the Mahavakya of the
Correct.
Gita.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
the first word of this yoga is surrender. The last word of this yoga is surrender. Sri Aurobindo says regarding his yoga. So, yeah. Archana ji has posted something on the chat.
Yeah, it's very
Line from
beautiful.
Savitri. Yeah, I'll just read it. My will shall be the meaning of their days, living for me, by me, in me they shall live. Yeah. In me they shall live का गीता में भी आता है निवशिष्यसि मय्येव. They are
Mayeva.
going to dwell in me. 12th chapter का I think verse number 8.
Yeah.
My will shall be the meaning of their days, living for me, by me, in me they shall live. Beautiful, very beautiful.
Anmol bhai, in me would be the central being.
In me would be, matlab, essentially your consciousness. In me would be the central being. Difficult to say like this because, I would say it would be the psychic being. But when in that state of realization, there is no difference, na? The difference between the psychic being and the central being is gone when you have found
You are
who
with
you
the
are, when you have
God. That's
known
it.
who
You are
you are.
living in the God. Mother's sixth
Yeah,
chapter.
the
You can
reason
say
I
it's
bought
central being also. It's not incorrect to say that in me means you are living in the central being. Yeah.
Mother's sixth chapter. The mother sixth. The mother.
In me they shall live means matlab you are aware that you are a part of the divine. Constantly you are in that consciousness. You feel that you are part of the divine. You are in
right.
him. You live in his
See,
consciousness.
yeah, so Anmol bhai, when we had this chat on the last call, you very well distinguished saying that if you see the 18, the last verse of the 12th chapter, you said that now you have realized that still you are a devotee, constantly connected to the Lord, but there is duality there, right? That there's me and an aspiration for the
Yeah.
Lord. And you said
Yeah.
Atman,
Correct.
because you said that you are the Jivatman. The moment you are in the Jivatman or central being status, you become one. Because the Paramatman and Jivatman
So
are from
what
above,
happens
right?
is, I will share the exact words of Sri Aurobindo. I remember one or two words from there. When you have realized who you are, okay, and who we are, essentially, फिर से remember कराना, that fundamentally, ajo nityah shashvato, you are unborn, okay. When the soul entered into this body, that is what is called birth. When the soul leaves this body, that is what is called death. But you who have entered and you who are leaving, that is unborn and eternal. Okay. When you realize that you are that unborn and eternal, you have realized that central being, that Jivatman, then the choice is there. At will, you can merge your consciousness in the Paramatman. And then obviously you will know yourself as the Paramatman, just as the wave merges in the ocean and knows itself as the ocean, right? But the moment you are presiding over an individual manifestation, you will know yourself as a individual center of the one divine. You will never lose that sense of oneness with the divine, but you will retain some sense of individuality. But again, if you want to have the joy, the ananda of merging yourself completely in the divine, you can do it at will. That is what yogis do. They at will they can go into that samadhi and they can just lose themselves completely into the divine. The moment they are needed for some work or some functioning in the world, then they're active again. And obviously, because they are functioning as an individual here, so in that case, obviously, they again feel some kind of individuality is there, but again, the sense of union with the divine is not lost. That is what happens. Is that clear?
Right. This makes sense. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
I mean, I was kind of struggling for words. Sri Aurobindo has put this very succinctly in 2 or 3 sentences. I'll share them after the class.
Yeah, Anmol,
Yes.
just one question. When he says abandon all dharmas, so what are the all dharmas?
हाँ, so all the मतलब स्वधर्म, वर्ण धर्म, etc. जितना भी गीता में बताया गया है ना, even like he says the मतलब ऐसे तो 12th chapter के end में ये तो धर्म्यामृतमिदम, this immortal dharma, basically all the teaching that he has told you कि do this, do that, do, that's why it's a very dangerous verse also, कि फिर ये सब नहीं करना है क्या? नहीं, वो करना है. And once you do that sincerely, then you will become for this total complete abandoning yourself to the divine. That is what it means.
Yeah,
Dharma basically means आप धर्म वर्ड को ऐसे समझिए, आपको बिल्कुल क्लियरली समझ में आ जाएगा व्हाट इज द लिटरल मीनिंग ऑफ द वर्ड धर्म. धर्म कम्स फ्रॉम द धातु ध्री. ओके, मतलब पकड़ना. सो धर्म इज समथिंग विच यू होल्ड ऑन टू वॉक. इट्स योर वॉकिंग स्टाफ. ओके, सो वॉट एवर इज योर धर्म, आप जो भी प्रिंसिपल फॉलो करते हैं, कुछ भी कर रहे हैं आप, समथिंग यू आर होल्डिंग ऑन टू वाइल वॉकिंग, राइट. सो मतलब ही इज फ्रीइंग यू कंप्लीटली. बट वही, मतलब व्हेन यू आर इन दैट परा प्रकृति, व्हेन यू आर इन दैट डिवाइन नेचर, so it is not bound by any rules. That's why Krishna, so those who misunderstand him कि इसने ऐसा किया वैसे किया, but he is acting from a divine consciousness. He is not acting from a moral dharma or kshatriya ka chivalry wala dharma, nothing like that. He is acting from the divine dharma. He is acting according to the needs of the leela, right? That is what it means. कि you are fully in union with the divine consciousness, and basically whatever happens to you is through, मतलब it is the divine will which is being expressed through you, which is acting through you, and you do not have to bother about all these other things. मतलब वही, but it's a very high stage. आप सोचो कि आप climb कर रहे हो, and in the initial stages you need a walking staff now, according to one's level of development. Karma yoga के principles, ज्ञान yoga, bhakti yoga, all this is needed. It's only when you have reached that peak, आपका वो यूनियन हो गया है, एंड वही बेसिकली इट्स अ लीप ऑफ फेथ जिसको बोलते हैं. यू कुड ट्रांसलेट इट एज द फ्रेज लीप ऑफ फेथ, जो होता है कि टोटल सरेंडर, टोटल ट्रस्ट इन द डिवाइन, लिविंग लाइक दैट, अबैंडनिंग एवरीथिंग एल्स. कुछ नहीं, बस भगवान ने बोला है कि टेक रिफ्यूज इन मी एंड आई एम टेकिंग. बट इट हैज, वही ना, द प्रॉब्लम विद ह्यूमन कॉन्शियसनेस इज सेल्फ डिसेप्शन. इन द नेम ऑफ दिस वन विल सरेंडर टू एनीथिंग. वो किसी भी चीज के सामने, नहीं मैं तो भगवान के धर्म को फॉलो कर रहे हैं, नहीं हो रहा भैया. It cannot happen. It can happen only in the Gunatita Avastha. So that's why.
Yeah, because in the 65th thing, when he's saying Manmana Bhav, that is Gyan Yoga. And the Madhbhakto is the Bhakti Yoga.
Yes.
And the Madhyaji is the Karma Yoga. So
Karma.
this, so we are doing these three.
Yes.
But in the 66th, then you don't even get.
He's freeing you completely. Exactly.
Okay.
माम एकम शरणम व्रज. सो वहां पे, इफ यू वांट टू यूज दैट वर्ड, वहां पे आप जो फिर धर्म फॉलो कर रहे हैं, इट इज टू टेक जेन्युइन रिफ्यूज इन द डिवाइन. कि आई टेक रिफ्यूज इन द सुप्रीम एंड आई फॉलो हिम. बट वही ना, दैट वन हैज टू बी वेरी वेरी ऑनेस्ट. ऑनेस्टी इज इंडिस्पेंसिबल फॉर योगा. मदर का सेंटेंस.
Anmol, it also highlights this fact that if you have Amrit, right? Even if, wish touches Amrit, it becomes Amrit, right? Everything is that oneness. So in the end, he's saying that if you are engaging only with me, everything is me, right? Then whatever be the wish, whatever be the actions that you're doing, whatever be the dharma, as Ram was always known as the Purushottam, always doing what is dharma, right? What is the path which Maryada Purushottam, right? But here he's saying that I am absolute. It's like there's no other word but Amrit, right? Because if you see after the overall, Amrit Manthan, at the end, what is that ultimate? It is only Amrit. What comes out at the end, all these other divine boons come out, but at the end is Amrit. And to me, Amrit means anything you touch, it becomes pure, right? Amrit means कि कोई भी चीज उसके साथ आप लगो, आप अमृत बन गए. You can only be Amrit by touching Amrit. And he's saying, I am Amrit. So you forget everything else. It is only me. There is only oneness. So if you take refuge in oneness, there is only Amrit. There is that stillness. Even before the activity began, the engagement began. Before all of that, there was only oneness. Now that is me. I am Amrit. There is only oneness. The moment you engage with that oneness, what do you become? There's only oneness. There isn't anything else. So he's saying that if you do, then you don't have to grieve. Because there isn't any. Who's there to grieve? It's only him. आके बात खत्म हो गई ना, है ही सिर्फ वो. So you come to
psychological terms,
stage. Right.
In psychological terms, when you say that Amritam, immortality, so one can only become free from fear when one has attained the immortal status, when one has to use another this thing, recovered one's immortality, right? So, for example, Sri Aurobindo gives an example in one of his books, Kaivalya Upanishad, the first verse he translated. He says the story of Madhu and Kaitab, which comes, I think, in Vishnu Puran, where they attack Brahma, okay? And Brahma gets scared and he hides inside Vishnu to protect his life. I'm talking of Brahma himself, okay? Then he says, why did Brahma get afraid? Because this Brahma is belonging to the lower hemisphere, which is the overmental sphere. Okay? And where their immortality is not there. The lifespan of that Brahma is very long. It is millions of years as they are seen in the human consciousness. But he is not immortal. He is the counterpart in the lower hemisphere, Aparardha, of the true Brahma who is called Hiranyagarbha, who is there in the higher hemisphere. ये जो ब्रह्मा है, this is a padvi which even you and I can reach. Taittiriya Upanishad में this is the 10th of the 11 levels. ठीक है? But beyond that 10th is the Brahman itself, the immortal. And then he says, fear can never go away from you unless you realize that you are immortal. Brahma, why does Brahma get fear? I'm giving the example of Brahma because it's an extreme example. Okay? Why does even Brahma get afraid? Because he is not immortal. Only and only when you realize your immortality, when you've attained that immortality, only then can fear go away from you. And then further on, when that fear goes away from you completely, then you are full of ananda. What comes in the way of that uninterrupted flow of ananda? Some kind of separation, some kind of fear. So in psychological terms, that is one way which we can in which we can translate the word Amritam, as you would say.
Very beautiful, Anmol bhai. This because lower Brahma.
I'll share this. Please
I
remind
never.
me if I forget. ये Kaivalya
Yeah.
Upanishad is from volume 18. So I was stunned when I read it. अरे
Yeah,
बाप रे.
I too am actually.
And
in a
nobody has even touched this story. किसी ने कभी नहीं बताया कि why Brahma got scared.
Yeah, this symbol of Brahma in the
Once
lower
more, I mean,
hemisphere.
since I have mentioned
Please,
terms, lower and
yeah.
higher hemisphere. So
Yeah.
this is what Sri Aurobindo says, कि Ardha means half, Para
Ha.
means upper or
Correct.
superior. Apara means lower. So Aparardha is the lower hemisphere, Parardha is the higher hemisphere. So the 7 principles which we have been talking about, right? So the 4, Supermind, Satchidananda, these belong to the upper hemisphere. Mind, life, and body, these belong to the lower hemisphere. This is not Sri Aurobindo's invention. This is Vedic. Okay. What is that verse from the Veda? चत्वारि श्रृंगा त्रयो अस्य पादा द्वे शीर्षे सप्त हस्तासो अस्य त्रिधा बद्धो वृषभोरोरवीति महोदेवो मर्त्याम आविवेश. That verse itself, it requires 10 minutes of explanation. I will not go there, but it is वो चौथे या फोर्थ या फिफ्थ मंडल का है फ्रॉम द ऋग्वेद, राइट? सो दीज 7 प्रिंसिपल्स, उसी से वो सप्त ऋषि आता है. So each of those Saptarishis is an embodiment of one of these 7 principles. Okay, and those Saptarishis are said to be one of our human fathers. Gita 10.6 अगर हम पढ़ें, महर्षयः सप्त पूर्वे चत्वारो मनवस्तथा मद्भावा मानसा जाता येषाम लोक इमाः प्रजाः. येषाम लोक इमाः प्रजाः, from whom are all these human progenies. Right? So there are our matlab, immortal fathers, so to speak. So on 7 principles mein, the upper 4 belong to the matlab, higher hemisphere, the lower 3. And when we say overmind in Sri Aurobindo's terminology, right? वो mind का highest peak है. But mind technically Sri Aurobindo is defined as the principle of division, defined by Sri Aurobindo. Okay? So even in overmind is the place where the division begins.
Begins, correct, right.
It has a great sense of oneness. And it is underlying and shot through, etc. But still, the division begins there. And because it is there, the division is there. That is why it is subject to the law of ignorance. And that is why fear and all that is there. So
that is why, Anmol bhai, in our Indian cosmology,
the name of that other fellow is Hiranyagarbha, literally meaning the golden womb.
Golden womb, yes.
Could even say the supermind. I mean, supermind is golden womb that we know, from whom the whole creation has come. Life Divine Part 1, if we see, there is a chapter titled The Supermind as Creator. Why go to Life Divine? We are reading the Gita. We can go to Life Divine. 14.3 and 14.4 of the Gita. Mama yonir mahad brahma tasmin garbham dadhamyaham. Sambhavah sarva bhutanam tato bhavati bharata. Sarva yonishu kaunteya murtayah sambhavantiyah. Tasam Brahma Mahad Yonihi Aham Bija Pradah Pita. Right? So that Mahad Brahma, that is nothing else except the supermind. And that he is calling his Yoni over there. Exactly.
And Anmol bhai, see,
and 14.4 of the Gita.
if I may say, Mahat Brahma, the Mahat adjective is applied before Brahma there in the upper
Mahat
hemisphere.
simply means that great. That
Great,
great
acha,
choice
acha.
of, because उसके नीचे जो कुछ भी है, it does not deserve to be called great.
That is why. So that is why I'm saying in that higher hemisphere it will be Mahat Brahma,
Correct.
and according to Indian cosmology, that is why Kalpa is Brahma's day and night, which encompass the vast cosmic cycles.
But
Right?
that Brahma which you are talking about now,
Is
that is
a
still
Kshara
part of
Brahma?
the
Is a
lower
Kshara?
hemisphere.
Is a Kshara Brahma?
His
Correct.
lifespan is very long, but still
Yes.
he
Yes.
is subject to the law of
Correct.
death. Even in
Correct. Correct. Correct.
8.16 of the Gita, since I am giving this example,
Uh,
a brahma bhuvanalokaha punaravartinorjuna mam upaityatu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. Even if you reach up till the brahma loka, a brahma bhuvanalokaha punaravartinorjuna, you will come back. You are bound to come back. ठीक है? Mam upaityatu. Once you have crossed the golden lid and you are in the upper hemisphere, mam upetyatu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. Then you are free from the compulsion of returning.
correct.
Once you have
Correct.
attained to me, the supreme. This is 8.16 of the Gita.
Right.
Right?
So that's all I wanted to confirm actually. That the Brahma, which is living as a day and a night, and the 14 Manvantaras and 71 Mahayugas and all that, with
In
the
the Taittiriya Upanishad, he is called Prajapati.
Prajapati. Yeah. See, this term now links because Praja Utpatti वहां से होती है.
He is
You
the
know,
progenitor.
progenitor, Praja Utpatti.
Progenitor, the word is coming from the Praja word of Sanskrit only.
Correct.
Pra
Praja means
means forward, Ja means generate.
generator. Correct. And Utpatti means producing,
नहीं उत्पत्ति
generating
नहीं
and
है
producing.
उसमें,
Huh?
because where is the ut going then? It's Prajapati, the lord of the praja, the lord of the population. वहां पे वो ऐसे ब्रेक होगा, प्रजा
अच्छा,
प्लस पति.
Pati. हाँ. And
Like
that's why
Shiva is
Manu.
called
हाँ, हाँ.
Pashupati, like that, in that
And
lower aspect.
that's why Manu is also called the Prajapati, no?
Yeah, because he is one of the progenitors. Through him, the
हाँ.
population, through him, the
मानव
reproduction
जाति
of
has
the,
come.
yeah, kind of, yeah.
मनु से मानव आए ना.
Correct, correct. But there is a difference. मतलब वो उसमें बहुत डिटेल में जाना हो गया, but yeah.
नहीं नहीं ठीक है. I just wanted to understand कि this
Brahma
is
is the ultimate Prajapati.
हाँ, the
All
lower
other
Brahma is
Prajapatis, चाहे वो दक्ष हो, चाहे मनु हो, these are secondary.
करेक्ट करेक्ट. नहीं नहीं, ये मुझे यही जानना था कि ये लोअर ब्रह्मा हुआ फिर
No, no,
कल्प
no.
वाला.
So
But still,
Anmol bhai,
हाँ, the
yeah,
example is
you were
clear, the वो जो मैंने बोला था. But
परफेक्ट
जो,
परफेक्ट.
हाँ, so again once more, until you realize that immortality, जब तक आप अपने अमरत्व को प्राप्त नहीं कर लेते, it should be very very clear what is the goal of yoga. The goal of yoga is to attain immortality. तो immortality के हम तो वैसे ही immortal है. आपको अभी वो ज्ञान है. You know that as part of your mental consciousness. That has to be a spiritual realization. You have to be fixed in that immortal consciousness. That is what yoga means.
right. So Anmol, as you gave an illustration of even Brahma having fear and residing within Vishnu, we all saw this Mahavatar Narsimhan movie, and Prahlad, this child, again and again they try to kill him.
Yeah.
But he is nirbhay. He's more nirbhay than Brahma then in this case, because being in a human form, being
Yeah.
a psychic being,
Yeah.
he says, you can do whatever, but my Vishnu
Yeah.
will protect me.
Yeah.
My Vishnu will
Yes.
protect me.
Total
And Vishnu
faith in Vishnu.
protects him to the extent that when his father in the end, who had all these boons, says कि कहाँ है वो कहता है वो तो सर्व हर जगह है. There is only him.
Wait a minute.
कहता है
Wait a minute.
इसके
Wait a
अंदर
minute.
है.
So some people may not be knowing here. The literal meaning of the word Vishnu is all pervading. So it comes from the dhatu vish, which means to enter. So Vishnu ka, I learned this from the Secret of the Veda Index, where Vishnu, the all-pervading Godhead, that is the chapter title. So vish means to enter. ठीक है? No is a suffix, वो बनाने के लिए होता है. विष्णु, जिष्णु, प्रभ विष्णु, etc., etc., सहिष्णु, वो सब उसी से आता है. But Vishnu literally means that which is pervading everywhere. Psychologically, it means cosmic consciousness. Again, that which is everywhere. That which is spread everywhere, that which is pervasive, all pervasive. This is the meaning when Prahlad says कि विष्णु सब जगह. विष्णु शब्द का अर्थ ही वही है. That is what literally the word Vishnu means.
Beautiful.
This is what happens कि जो मतलब कथावाचक वगैरह बताते हैं ना, भागवत पुराण ये कर रहे हैं वो कर रहे हैं. Sometimes they just don't know कि what is the etymological meaning, उनको पता ही नहीं होता. And then they have to rely on some story, some this that करके. But जब तक आप निरुक्त में नहीं जाएंगे, until you reach the word roots, you will not get the real knowledge. I'm telling you frankly. So yeah.
Right. And what I was saying is that
Yes,
that child,
yes,
Prahlad, the
yes,
Mahavakya, his
yes,
life as a story, and that movie shows that he's living that reality of the, he sees only Vishnu. I mean,
absolutely.
that movie shows in the how as a child he develops that oneness, how as a psychic being he becomes a realized psychic soul and a central being,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and then said there is only a Paramatman, there is nothing but him.
yeah, yeah.
And because he is so connected, at every stage the Lord comes to protect him. So the
There is a
Nirbhay, because
similar
this
sort
this
of,
struck me, because you said Brahma bhi dar gaye,
there
but
is
wo
a,
bachcha nahi dara yaar, he
yes,
was Nirbhay.
yes, yes, yes. It's because of his unswerving devotion. Ananya Bhakti, Avyavcharini Bhakti, Mamekam Sharanam Braja. All these phrases are applicable. There is a similar story in mother's life. I can probably end this session with that. So जैसे प्रहलाद का दिखाते हैं कि he's thrown from the mountains, but nothing happens to him because Vishnu catches him in the middle of the air and he lands him safely or something. So, I mean, I'm referring to things which may sound occult to some people, but I have read these in published books written by very reliable people, and there is no reason to doubt. I mean, almost all of the people here on this group would have experienced mother's power in some way or the other. So, mother, when she was a child, so with some children only, she was going for a trek or something. वो वहाँ पे curve था, there was a sort of bend in the cliff over there, and she was just running. I don't know her age, 10, 11 कुछ रहा होगा. And she basically did not see the bend and she just leaped into the air. And below on the ground, there were flint stones. वो एकदम पथरीले होते हैं, very pointed. They were there and there was मतलब decent enough height. And if she would have fallen flat on them, anything could have happened. But as मतलब somebody told, so on both sides of the mother, there used to be these two entities, these two angels sort of being used to be there. So they basically caught her midair and made her landed on those flint stones like a feather. So nothing happened to her. Again, because, of course, she is the Divine Mother, but even from the childhood, I mean, that devotion and seeing Sri Aurobindo as Sri Krishna, that total surrender and all, it was just part of mother's makeup. Sri Aurobindo made that remark regarding mother. Meera is born free, he said. So she was born a mukta, like that. So just because वो प्रहलाद का story, when I read that Flintstone story of mother, immediately I could relate to that Prahlad story which I had seen in childhood. So Dhaval Bhai had posted here something. Should I just read this? Very powerful. This is the last paragraph of the 5th chapter of the Mother. ये कर्म योगा के लिए है mainly. पढ़ूं इसको या नहीं पढ़ूं? 9:05 already हो गया. What should I do?
Please pad dijiye, please.
Okay. The last stage of this perfection will come when you are completely identified with the Divine Mother and feel yourself to be no longer another and separate being, instrument, servant, or worker, but truly a child, an eternal portion of her consciousness and force. Always she will be in you and you in her. It will be your constant, simple, and natural experience that all your thought and seeing and action, your very breathing and moving, come from her and are hers. You will know and see and feel that you are a person and power formed by her out of herself, put out from her for the play, and yet always safe in her, being of her being, consciousness of her consciousness, force of her force, Ananda of her Ananda. When this condition is entire and her supramental energies can freely move you, then you will be perfect in divine works. Knowledge, will, action will become sure, simple, luminous, spontaneous, flawless, an outflow from the Supreme, a divine movement of the eternal. I have this by heart since 2007. So
Lovely, Anmol bhai. Wow.
most
Anmol bhai, you
powerful
could
will
put it on
be
the group as well.
most powerful will be to listen to this in mother's own voice. This will come towards the end of the 5th chapter. कईयों लोगों के साथ में I have shared the recording separately. I can just share the recording of the 5th chapter on the group after this call.
Thank you so much.
अनमोल भाई दिस दो अप्लाइज टू कर्म योगा, ये तो सब भक्ति योगी मेरे को तो लग रहा है टुवर्ड्स वो जो लास्ट है ना, ऑलवेज शी विल बी इन यू एंड यू इन हर. ओह, दिस इज
Very, very
दिस
powerful. Very,
दिस
very.
इज द सेम assurance like.
So for next time, some people have already dropped off. But I think it's better I don't ask about next time क्या करना है. That we'll do next time only.
No, we will now do the summary and चाहिए तो, and please take your time Anmol bhai.
नहीं
ये
नहीं नहीं.
summary भी we should not rush through it, because even if you spend 7 chapters like I said earlier, even 5 minutes will तो में justice हो पाएगा.
So the thing is that some people may feel a lot of retrograde movement कि आगे बढ़ ही नहीं रहे हैं. we're all the time. So
हाँ,
basically a balance has to be struck
correct, correct,
that,
correct.
you know,
ठीक है,
some,
नहीं देख लीजिए. I mean, I don't mind. You know,
we'll see. I have already gone through in the last 3-4 days. Oh, it's there in my mind. I was prepared and ready to do it today. But fine, I mean, I'll get even more time to prepare and do it even better on Monday. Yeah.
thank you, Anmol bhai.
We'll
Thank you
close
so
with
much.
silence.
Yeah.